If Lost Planet 2 was a big Hollywood blockbuster sequel to the original game, then Lost Planet 3 would be that cheap sequel you'd see out of the blue on the Syfy channel, starring Nicolas Cage. Honestly, the main character, Jim Payton, just reminds me of him. From the way he talks and constantly having this smirk across his face, I'd have to wonder if someone on the dev team is a fan of Mr. Cage. It becomes quite obvious the second you turn Lost Planet 3 on that the game is a completely different take on the franchise. This game was developed by Western studio Spark Unlimited and is very much a Western third-person shooter type of game within the Lost Planet universe. This change of perspective is either going to turn players off that enjoyed the first two games, or intrigue new players that never touched Lost Planet before. While the gameplay feels different, it still incorporates elements from the previous games. You can still only carry two weapons, you still have your grappling hook, you can also still roll about, which is something you will be doing a lot of, since you have regenerating HP in this game. I would often just roll about avoiding Aircreed's attacks until my HP was full again. The game now also has a proper cover system, so you can hide behind certain background objects and pop up and shoot whenever you want. T energy is still in this game, but rather than it being tied to your health, it's used as the game's currency this time around. As you see, this game allows you to buy weapons and upgrade them. Not only can you buy weapons, but you can also upgrade your mech. All of this is done in the game's hub world, which is this hangar place. This is where you hang about before going out on missions. It's a pretty decent sized game hub, and you can interact with many of the NPCs scattered around. It does a great job of world building, as I very much felt like I was part of this place and community. You'll find people in here asking you for side missions, which will also happen when you go outside of the hangar. The side missions are there for you to build up loads of currency. I was doing them for the start of the game, but about halfway in I just stopped doing them, unless they were on my way during the main missions. I just got sick and tired of going out of my way just for TNG rewards that weren't that big. You'll get more than enough just playing the main campaign if you just stick to buying a certain bunch of upgrades. You'll have to fight Aircreeds and Nevic soldiers again. For the Aircreeds there weren't as many different variations this time around, and I got fed up when I kept having to face these giant crab-like ones, only because I knew just how long it would take to kill them. I would just carry on past them, taking hits till I reached the next load area. When you're not blowing Aircreed or Nevic soldiers to smithereens, you'll spend time fixing things good old Resident Evil style. Jim Payton even starts making jokes about how everything is broken around here. Really, unlike the other games, this one feels like a horror game. Well, an action horror game. It's hard not to think of Dead Space when playing this. Now, I'm not saying this is as good as the original Dead Space, but it's not far off from Dead Space 3. I mean, both are set on an icy planet with alien creatures trying to kill you along with humans. Even some of the user interface options are like Dead Space. That's pretty much when I started to enjoy the game more. I never expected it to have this survival horror feel, albeit you're armed to the teeth, so it's not like you're running about trying to conserve ammo and find supplies. The music really adds to this horror feel as well. It totally put me on edge worrying about when the next Aircreed was going to pop up, that I kept my fingers close to that trigger button. Believe that. The sounds that Aircreeds make will also keep you trigger happy, as you hear many of them coming towards you, but from what direction there's so many, you can't tell, so just get ready for a shootout. The voice work in this game is leaps and bounds better than anything in the previous games, where those games had that PS1 level voice acting, which makes those games funnier, but in here it's more in line with current generation voice acting. I thought graphically that the game was okay, it has decent lighting and whatnot. Again, like the voice acting, the character models are certainly better than Lost Planet 2's dead soulless faces. You see, the characters actually have moving mouths in this game. The timeline of this story means there's no vital suits. What you will get is giant mechs known as rigs. These look more like mech warrior designs, and you only get one of these for the entire game. They don't have guns or proper weapons because they are built to find and dig for T energy. Of course, having the giant drill comes in handy when dealing with Aircreed. When you get into your mech, the viewpoint changes to cockpit view only, which is fine as it makes you more immersed in the game than being inside the giant robot. You'll be using your mech to traverse across the ice planet EDN3. It certainly feels and moves like you'd expect a giant robot to. You have basic commands like blocking, using your drill. You'll be able to add extra moves by buying them from Gale. Yes, Gale from the first game, as his younger self is in here. He's the one you'll need to visit for upgrading your rig. What surprised me was how good the combat felt while playing in the rig. It was like boxing only with giant robots versus giant Aircreed, which was awesome. Blocking and grabbing hold of Aircreed was all made easy. You'll get the hang of it, no problem. Nothing better than seeing Aircreed blood splatter all over your rig window after they gave you such hell when you're out on foot. When your rig gets too much damage, you will be thrown out of it, and you will have to wait for it to self-repair. It's these moments where you would just have to try and survive until it comes back online so you can kick some ass. As for the game's story, well, it's actually a prequel to the other games, set way before them. The game has an American trucker in space vibe about it. You play as Jim Payton, who travels to EDN3 to help support his wife and young child back on Earth. There's lots of character building between the two through long distance messages. Payton is a skilled rig user, and he's there to mine for T-Energy. He later uncovers that there is an entire different group of people living away from the hangar that got left behind by Nebik years ago, and layers of deep buried secrets on EDN3 and what Nebik are really like. The game's storytelling is far better than the other games in the series, but whether or not it's actually interesting, I'm not so sure. It really is a slow burner, and the main bad guy doesn't even show up till near the end, which made the last fight less dramatic. He was more like another little problem I had been fixing throughout the game. I certainly had fun with Lost Planet 3. It's an average game, but if you can give me Dead Space Light with giant robots, I'd sign up for that any day. Saying that, I did pick this up during a Steam sale, and I would say that would be the best time to buy it if you're slightly interested in it. If you like horror games and a bit of giant robot action, you may get some value out of it.